Hi and welcome everyone. My name is Eric Moberg. I'm an equity analyst here at ABG covering the gaming sector. And with that, I leave the word for CEO Björn Mannerqvist of MOBA Network.
Thank you. We can dive directly into the next slide where I will present MOBA Network. We are a gaming community company that owns and operates some of the world's largest gaming communities, both web-based and on YouTube. We made a significant acquisition at June 1st this year of a company called Magic Find, which increased the number of communities we run from 10 to 20, and we also added Union for Gamers, which is a massive YouTube network that generates billions of views each year. So, as you can see on the slide, we have our network community brands that all focus on individual games for the fans of those games, and the YouTube network that was added. So in total, 20 communities. We reach a massive global audience. In total, for our web-based communities, we had over 600 million visits in 2020 and served over 20 billion video views. Since we have made a significant acquisition recently, we have produced a pro forma figures for 2020 for the entire company group, which shows revenues of around 380 million and an EBITDA of about 40 million. Next slide. So a short summary of the timeline of our company. We founded this company in September 2018 with the acquisition of our Canadian subsidiary Critical Click Network, which runs 10 of our community websites. We then continue to build on that platform and have launched a number of new communities on that platform. The first one was released in Q4 of 2018. We then prepared the company for an IPO. We raised a direct share issue of about 30 million in the early 2019, and we then moved on to conclude another share issue in November of 2019, and then IPO'd at Nasdaq First North in December of 2019. In 2020, we focused a lot on our business development, and we launched our internal sales division, MOBA Services. We also launched a subscription program for our community members called Prime, and we made, at the end of 2020, we made an acquisition of a really well-known gaming publication called MMORPG.com. And in 2021, as I mentioned before, we continued our growth journey with the acquisition of Magic Find. So next slide. I will go over a little bit on how we see ourselves in the market. So we can move to the next slide. So the gaming market, as we see it, is divided in verticals. We have been operating in what we call the gaming services vertical with our web-based community websites. We have been constantly looking into what we think is very closely related, which is the broadcasting and the streaming vertical, which is extremely massive within gaming, and had a target of entering that. So with the acquisition of Magic Find and Union for Gamers, which is our YouTube network, we were able to join that vertical as well and broaden our our product portfolio. So next slide. The way we exist in the value chain is that we attract gaming fans from all the verticals within gaming. So fans of esports and gaming in general are likely to become fans of our products if they play specific games such as League of Legends, Smite, World of Warcraft, or even Minecraft. We also get fans from the different game developers who stand behind the games. They constantly work on their product, the game. They launch new updates that makes the game more interesting and creates more players for that specific game. And those are also likely to come across our brands as they develop as players. Influencers and professionals who have their own big communities are creating interest for the games that are also attracting new fans for our brands. And now with our own streaming vertical, we are able to expose our brands much more in the video vertical. So next slide. Our strategy consists basically of two major strategic pillars. We focus a lot on organic growth of our existing assets. Since we are a community-based company, we listen to very closely to what our community's feedback of our products are, and we make sure that we develop our platforms and brands to the wishes of the community. This creates organic growth because we keep on developing our brands and platforms to better suit the existing communities. The other pillar is our acquisition track. We have been successful in acquiring and then integrating and developing the acquisitions we have made to date. So what we are looking for are strategic acquisitions that tick all of our boxes, and then that will boil down to our group-wide synergies that we are constantly developing. For instance, our launch of our sales team that can be applied on our entire product portfolio, and new acquisitions are easily integrated into that. So next slide. What we do when we develop our communities is that we focus on large and established underlying games, such as League of Legends, Dota. We now also have communities for World of Warcraft, Minecraft, and other really well-known games that have had a long lifespan and a massive fan base. So that's what we focus on when we are looking for products to either develop or to acquire. Next slide. User-generated content is really the cornerstone in our entire company. Our websites are mostly driven by user-generated content. Our users either produce content by community discussions, such as in forums or discussion threads, but we also have a platform that serves as a self-publishing tool for our members, where they can publish game guides for our big audience. So we have thousands of content creators that produce content and that we allow them to publish on our brands, which are then consumed by millions of gamers and fans who enjoy the content because it develops them as gamers themselves, and they become part of a lively community where we have a great atmosphere and discussions. So we are able to generate quality content at a low cost, and the community will then surface all the most high quality content based on our algorithms for voting and other things. We monetize these community websites by ads, both direct and programmatic. Next slide. User-generated content, it's the same thing for our YouTube network, Union for Gamers. So we have about 1,000 content creators that run their own YouTube channels and create their own content. It could be gameplay, it can be just mix-up of different funny scenarios that they have encountered in different games. So they generate the content and have large followings that creates millions and even billions of views per year for the video content. These videos are also generated, monetized by programmatic advertising. The next slide. Since our acquisition of Magic Find, we have a broader and more attractive product offering for our customers, which are ad buyers. So we have increased our ad inventory with the added 10 community sites. So now it's a total of 20. So we can offer our direct clients a much bigger ad inventory. Our programmatic ads are also much larger size, and media buyers can buy in much larger scale from us now. Now we also offer video ads through Union for Gamers, and we are able to offer brands the opportunity to work directly with the content creators on YouTube, where they can promote a product or a game. So a lot more to offer as a whole right now. And we see significant potential in each of these categories. And we work really hard and make long-term investments into realizing all the opportunities that we see here. So next slide. Some financial highlights from our freshest quarterly report for the period of April to June. Our sales increased by 317% and amounted to over 31 million. And our adjusted EBITDA increased by 53%. We had really strong organic growth of 30%, plus the acquisition of Magic Find, which is only consolidated for 1 month in the reported quarter. Some of the other highlights of the quarter was that we were able to carry out directed share issue of 110 million crowns to finance the acquisition of Magic Find. Together with Magic Find, we also launched a new company called Creator One. Creator One is a company that works with content creators, direct partnerships with brands. We also reported that in July, our preliminary numbers, revenues increased by 898% and amounted to 23.5 million, with an organic growth of about 20%. Next slide. Our growth development has been really strong over the last 3 years, the first 3 quarters. We have been able to increase that by 188%, while being really profitable and growing EBITDA 75%. Next slide. Looking forward for us, we will keep on reinvesting in resources and development to support our continued growth and realize all the synergies and other opportunities that we have at hand. Where we will focus on developing new formats that are attractive to both our community and our strategic partners. We focus a lot on the continued optimization of our sales process with the aim of getting maximum return on our ad inventory, the content creator partnerships, and our global audience. We believe that we're not even close to reaching our potential here. We continuously keep scanning the market for great acquisitions and people that tick the boxes that we set forth for acquisitions. And we are overall working to maintain and develop our position as a world-leading gaming platform, and being willing to invest in new products and attract great new people. And that was my presentation. So I leave up QA.
All right, thank you very much. I will proceed with some questions here. Obviously, you touched on your M&A agenda there, but if you perhaps could walk us through a little bit more on what sort of criteria you have when you evaluate an M&A target.
There are several things. If we look at financials, we are a profitable company. We want to acquire profitable companies. So that's one thing. More importantly, we look for synergy effects and being able to integrate, hopefully, great new people into the company that can help us grow overall. So I would say the synergies and the people behind our acquisitions are at the top of mind for us when we scan the market.
Understood. And just in general, in the overall pipeline current of potential targets, if you compare now versus 1 year ago, what is your view on this, both in terms of the quality of the potential assets you see, as well as sort of the current multiples in the landscape?
So I would say the pipeline is growing because we have now successfully completed a number of acquisitions, and our brand is growing in the gaming vertical. So we get more M&A leads these days. The quality of potential targets are, I would say, on average, really high. There are a lot of interesting products and ideas that people have been putting together. So there's a ton of stuff to scan out there, and it's really interesting and exciting to do that. And the multiples is really hard, I think, in our space. This market hasn't really been consolidated. There isn't a ton of companies that do a bunch of acquisitions. So, and founders of great products are typically not that business savvy. So multiples can be all over the place. We have been able to acquire our targets with what I would describe as extremely attractive multiples. But I wouldn't say that the market is so mature that there's a red line in the eyes of the potential sellers, at least.
Understood. And obviously touched on this earlier on the presentation, but you completed one really transformative acquisition in Magic Find. And if I just look at your past acquisitions, you've been quite successful in making the switch towards more direct sales. How quickly do you think this process will be in regards of Magic Find and integration, so to speak?
Since Magic Find is basically a two-part company where they have the community websites, which is basically exactly the same model as we have been working on traditionally. So the process in the direct sales area in that regard is already ongoing. On the YouTube side, we have as a goal, and we mentioned that in our latest quarterly report, to be up and running with direct sales during early to 2022.
Understood. There's some good color right there. And then just in general, obviously, I assume you saw a little bit of a boost in traffic, etc., during the pandemic. I'm just curious to hear what you currently are seeing in regards of any sort of negative reopening effects here during the fall or anything like that.
Yeah, there was a massive spike in traffic, especially, I would say, from the period late half March, April, and May, and then it sort of slowly went down little by little. That's not really a concern of ours, I would say. Traffic is great. We still have great levels of traffic. During the traffic spike, it was really hard to monetize all the extra traffic. So it didn't really matter that much to us. So we've been able to increase our average ad impression revenues now, since I would say things have gone back to being quite normal. We haven't really seen any negative effects of reopenings in that sense. So the ad market is more stable, and we have many millions of hundreds and millions of ad impressions to monetize each month. So we haven't worried or paid so much attention to the pandemic effects, actually.
Understood. And then just on the general exposure here, could you perhaps give us some flavor on now when Magic Find is fully integrated, etc. How much does the largest game constitute of total revenue?
Now with Magic Find, it's I would say the largest game is not more than maybe 20%, since we've broadened that a lot, especially on YouTube, where our content creators cover, thousands of games. So our exposure to certain games has gone down by a lot lately.
Got it. There's some good color right there. Our time is running up here, but thank you very much, Björn, for doing this. Much appreciated.
Thanks for having me.